Hey everyone, welcome back to AI with Pallavi. Ready to learn another AWS service in just 10 minutes? Let's get started. Let's learn Amazon EC2. EC2 is the backbone of AWS. It was launched in 2006 and still powers most cloud workloads. Every other AWS compute service, be it Lambda, ECS, EKS, and even more, runs on EC2 underneath. There are 700 plus instance types, but most people use 5. So let me walk you through what EC2 is all about. The main features are the instance type. So there are different types of instances present and you can create your instance that way. Now what is an instance? It's nothing but a virtual server which you rent by the second. You can choose the CPU, memory, storage, networking and build it like a custom PC. Think of it like renting an apartment versus like buying a house, right? So you can scale up and down anytime without provisioning your own servers. So you can choose the instance type and create that within EC2. You can also choose the networking, like which VPC or the network which you want to provide to this EC2 instance, then the ENIs, elastic IPs. So there are different features within the networking framework of EC2 as well. You can auto scale the EC2 instances. You can define the launch templates, right? Where you mention that you need this instance type, you need this networking. So basically the launch criteria of any particular EC2 instance can be defined within auto scaling. But let's also see how we can create a particular EC2 instance. So this is the dashboard which you will see as soon as you land up on the EC2 console. You will see the list of instances running, the key pairs, security groups, and other features which are associated with any EC2 instance. Also, you should be able to see the EC2 cost, right, across that particular region or global, and then you can choose the date range as well. Now, there can be cost, there can be default VPCs. So there are different features which are associated with your EC2 instances, and all of those can be seen on the EC2 console. Now let's go ahead and start creating an instance. And in general terms, we call it launching an instance, right? Because we are launching an EC2 instance, which is a virtual machine on the cloud. Let's go ahead. So I can give any name to my instance. Let it be Linux instance. And then I have to choose an image, which we generally call AMI, right? Now, it's very important to understand this, that there are some quick start AMIs already present. And what is an AMI? It is just an image of your system. So within your computers itself, right, there is an image which is it uses. It can be Linux, it can be Mac OS, it can be Ubuntu. It's basically the base configurations which are required to create an EC2 instance. So here I can choose Amazon Linux. There are some more AMIs as well, but you can decide like which AMIs you want to choose. Now, let's say I just want to create an EC2 instance of Linux type, so I'm choosing this. There are AMIs already present, and few of them are in free tier, so you can try with that. There are some deep learning based AMIs as well. This also means that certain AMIs will require a certain type of instances, right? So just choose wisely whichever you want. Then you can choose the architecture specific to that AMI which you want to create. The username, I'm just using default for now. So that's how I'm creating the image. Now after that, the important thing, right? I want to choose the instance type. Now, what is instance type? It's nothing but the configuration which is associated with your instance, right? So there are different instance type already present. T2 is the base one, like nano, micro, small, medium, large. Depending upon that, the CPUs, the memory, and the instance generation, and whether you want Windows, Linux, so all of these things changes based on that. The pricing also changes. So I'm just going with T2 micro, but you can see there are so many instance types already present. If you just want to compare, is a specific documentation within AWS docs. So I will share that in the description, and you can look at the different instance type also present. So this is how you can choose the instance type. Then key pair. So key pair is super important. I already have instances, so I'm using Virginia key pair, which I created, but you can create a new key pair as well. So this is something which helps to connect to your instance securely, and you might need it. You will need it actually when you are doing the SSH for your instance. So all of this is important. Then we have the network setting. By default, it chooses certain VPC, chooses subnets. You can enable public IP as well. If you don't want this, you can go ahead and edit it. If you want a private instance, right, you don't want that instance to be accessible from public network, just go ahead and choose the private IP option. Now you also need to enable some security groups. Now just remember, security groups are super important for EC2 instance as they are the gateway security layer, right? So any traffic from within your EC2 instance has to go via security group. So you have to ensure what kind of security group you want, whether you want to allow SSH traffic from anywhere or from custom IPs or specific to your IP. So it depends. Then you can choose HTTPS traffic from internet, allow HTTP traffic from internet. So all of these things. So you can choose the security group or you can choose the existing security group as well. Now storage. Now you might be thinking, what is a different storage, right? Because storage was also there when we were choosing the instance type. So that is called ephemeral storage. That is a temporary storage which comes with every AMI or every instance. But if you want to have a separate storage as well, you can define that. You can also have file systems with your EC2 instances. Recently launched S3 file system or EFS or FSX. So you can choose how you want to define the file systems. And yes, here you can also configure the storage. More the storage, the more capacity your instance will have. And it depends what kind of storage you want. Do you want general purpose, provisioned IOPS? So there are different types of storage available, right? So you can choose accordingly. Then there are some advanced details as well, advanced configuration which you can choose. IAM instance profile. Let's say your EC2 instance need to connect to S3, right? Or DynamoDB or few others. So instead of configuring those permissions separately within your EC2 instance, you can just assign a role. That's a very good option. Just assign this role to this EC2 instance. It will use those credentials from that IAM role and the permissions and will be able to call different services or trigger different services. So that's how EC2 instance will get those permissions. There are different options as well, like shutdown behavior when you want to stop or terminate your instances and how it happens. So all this is also super important, like CloudWatch monitoring if you want to enable or not. There can be some optimization based on your volume, right? Then bandwidth configuration, what kind of bandwidth you want for your instances, capacity reservation if you want to reserve some capacity for a specific region, right? So there are different features which you can directly enable via this. One important feature would be user data. Now let's say you want that whenever your instance is launched, there needs to be certain code which has to be executed, right, within that. For example, I am just updating this particular code here and I'm saying that as soon as my instance is launched, this part of the code has to run. So I don't have to run anything specific, right, going and logging into the instance and then do it. So user data is used for that. So you can upload any file there, you can enter the details and go ahead. So as soon as this is done, these commands will automatically run and this will be in the user data. So whenever your system starts or instance starts, this will be there. So that's how we can launch an instance. Now as soon as the instance is launched, there are specific details which you can see. You will be able to see the instance ID, you will be able to see the public IP, private IP, the DNS name if you have configured the public IP, host name, then instance type, VPC details, elastic IP is also a feature which can be assigned because every time you start your instance, right, you might get a new IP. So if you want a static IP, then you can associate an elastic IP with that. Then IAM role if you have assigned. So there are different configurations which are already present, right? Instance details, what was the AMI ID used, time, image, key pair, and all of this information. There are also status and alarms which you can configure. There is monitoring which already exists, right? So AWS already monitors your instances, has some predefined metrics already there, CPU utilization, network in, network out. So all of this is super important and you should know when to use a specific metric as well. Then for networking, if you want to change any VPC, if you want to migrate it to a different security group and other things, all of that information can be done. Network interfaces created for your instance are also present here in storage, tags, and other things. So all of this information is already present in the EC2 console as soon as your instance is created. If you want to filter instances based on their state, this can be done, and you can also change the state, like stop instance, start instance, reboot an instance. You can hibernate an instance as well as terminate that. There are specific actions also which you can do. For example, for instance setting, if you want to attach an auto scaling group, if you want to change a shutdown behavior, if you want to auto recover instances, right, if it fails. So all of that can be possible. If you want to connect this instance to RDS database, so there are some automatic connection facilities available. So that's how you can modify it. You can modify the networking details as well, attach, detach network interfaces, manage the IPs, images, right? If you want to create an image from this particular instance which you want to share with other users, so that they can also create an instance with similar configuration. So that is also possible. Security, modify the group, modify the IAM role, monitor and troubleshoot, enable detailed monitoring. It will have more logs, troubleshoot anything. So all of that information is present. Now you can also connect to this instance via different options. First one is connect using public IP and using the console itself for EC2 instance connect. Then it can be SSM, which can also be used to connect to the instance. It can be SSH client or the EC2 CL console. So there are a lot of options, but I was trying is with EC2 instance connect, and as soon as you go ahead, it will ask for the key which we created, right, and it will be able to create the connection with your particular instance. So that's how easy it is to create the instance as well as start using the EC2 instance profile and start using and connecting to the instance. Let me do a quick check whether the instance is working or not. Let me do a ping and I can see that. So that's what EC2 instance is all about. You go ahead, start creating an EC2 instance. It's very easy to launch. You can just launch it from the console. You can start playing with it, start adding any websites to it, your application interfaces and other things. And just like that, you have learned another AWS service in 10 minutes. Hit that subscribe button if you like this video and comment if you have any questions related to this service or if there is any service you want me to focus next. Happy learning!